imagine what a world would be. I can't imagine what would be without you. The birds would stop their song without you.
Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Nathan. Today we have a tutorial for this song from Shawn Mendes' brand new album, Wonder. I'm assuming it's an amazing song, but I haven't actually heard it yet because I'm pre-filming these intros so I can get as many tutorials out from the new album as soon as possible for you guys. But two things before we start the video. First, you guys are clearly Shawn Mendes fans, so you should subscribe down below. I've got tons of covers and tutorials for Shawn Mendes stuff, and I'm hoping to come out with a ton of new tutorials from the new album, so subscribe down below to get notified about that. Second, if you like this video and it helps you learn the song, please feel free to give it a like. That really just shows the YouTube algorithm that you like seeing these kinds of videos and really helps out the channel. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Here we go. This song has some absolutely beautiful chords in it, so I'm going to start off by teaching you guys those. We're going to have our capo on the 3rd fret today, and we're going to be using chords in the key of D major. For the chorus, we're going to be using 4 chords in the same order. We're going to start on our G7, to D over F sharp, to E7, and then to A7. So starting on our G7 chord, we're going to have our middle finger on the 3rd fret of the low E, and we're going to be muting the A string with our middle finger as well. We've got an open D and an open G string. Then we've got our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B, and then pointer finger on the 2nd fret of the high E. Next is the D over F sharp, which is going to be our thumb is going to pull over and frets the 2nd fret of the low E. Then an open A, open D, then our pointer finger on the 2nd fret of the G, ring on the 3rd of the B, and middle on the 2nd of the high E. The 3rd chord is an E7 chord, which is going to be our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, and pointer finger on the 1st fret of the G. And the rest of the strings are open. Next is going to be an A7 chord, and that's going to have our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D, and our ring finger on the 2nd fret of the B. For the section that I guess you could call the verse, it uses the same chords as Song for No One by Shawn Mendes, so if you want to learn that, click up there in the top right corner. I got a tutorial for that I released last week. But we're going to use a D major chord, an F sharp 7, a B minor, and then back to the F sharp 7. So we're only going to be using the high 4 strings. So starting on the D major, it's the open D, pointer on the 2nd fret of the G, ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B, and pointer on, or middle on the 2nd fret of the high E. Next, we're going to keep our ring finger planted, and we're only going to move our pointer and middle finger. Our middle finger is going to go to the 3rd fret, of the G, and pointer is going to go to the 2nd fret of the high E. So now you have open D, middle on the 3rd fret of the G, ring on the 3rd fret of the B, and pointer on the 1st fret of the high E. Next, we're going to move to the B minor shape, which is going to keep our pointer finger planted and only move our middle and ring. Our ring is going to go to the 4th fret of the G, and our middle is going to go to the 3rd fret of the B. So now we have an open D, ring on the 4th of the G, middle on the 3rd of the B, and pointer on the 2nd of the high E. Now you know how to play all the chords. For the main riff, we're going to start on our G7 chord. We're going to have our thumb on the root of the chord, which in this case is the low E. Then we're going to have our pointer, middle, and ring on the G, the B, and the high E strings. We're going to start off by plucking with our thumb, our pointer, and our middle at the same time. Then thumb, then ring, then thumb, then middle, then thumb, and then pointer. So it's hard to tell when it's that slow, but you can hear the thumb strike on the downbeat every time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to be the main downbeat and the driving bass throughout this entire picking pattern. And then the other 3 fingers are going to fit in between that. So really slowly you can hear it sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. And now you just need to work to get those offbeats down, and then you can work through the chord changes. So take a minute, pause if you need to, replay through the slowed down version so you can play along, and now I'll teach you the rest of the main riff. For the rest of the main riff, obviously we're starting on our G7. We're going to do one cycle of the picking pattern on the G7. To our D over F sharp, all our fingers are going to stay in the same spot and do the same thing. Now moving to our E7, it's going to change just slightly. We're going to move our pointer and middle up one string to the D and the G strings. So now we're going to pluck with our thumb, our pointer, and our middle, but our pointer and middle on different strings. Our ring is going to stay in the high E. So now we're going to pluck with these three strings, and then we're going to shift back so that our pointer, middle, and ring are on the high three strings as we go to our A7. And our thumb is now going to shift to the root of the A7, which is on the A string. And now we're going to do the same picking pattern as before. Now combining the entire main riff with the lyrics, I'll go slow so you can play along. It'll sound like this. I can imagine what a world would be. I can imagine what a world would be. Again, as I said before, this picking pattern is really tough, and the offbeat stuff is hard to get locked in your head. But go through how I taught it really slowly and how I demonstrated it really slowly, so you can take your time and lock it in and start to play along and then start to sing along with it. Now I'll get into the verse. Starting on the D major for the verse, it's going to sound very similar, but we're just going to have our thumb on the D string and then our pointer, middle, and ring on the high three strings. So we're going to start off this time by plucking with our thumb and then our middle and our ring. And we're going to pluck those, then thumb, then pointer, then thumb, and then middle and ring together, then thumb, and then pointer. Once again, it doesn't seem to make very much sense when it's slow, but if you speed it up a little bit, you can hear the thumb on the downbeats. And then slowly, these other fingers are going to fit in together. So on the D major, it'll sound like this. For the chord progression, we're going to be going from the D to the F sharp 7, to the B minor, and then back to the F sharp 7. And now slowly with lyrics, so you can try to play along, it'll sound like this. Would be without you. The birds would stop their song without you. All things right would turn out wrong. And then straight back into the chorus. The I can't imagine. And now I can teach you how to organize it together so you can play the full song and it'll sound fantastic. The structure for this song is pretty simple most of the time, but it just gets a little wonky at the end. So for the intro, we're going to play the first chord progression, or the chorus chord progression, once. So the G7 to the D over F sharp, then to E7, and then to the A7. And then we're going to sing the I Can't Imagine part 3 times. I can't imagine what a world would be. I can't imagine what a world would be. Then the third time, I can't imagine what a world. And then as you sing would be, we're going to go into our verse chord progression, which we're going to play 2 cycles of. Would be without you. I'd always be alone without you. All things right would feel so wrong. Then back into the chorus. So play 3 cycles of that until we're getting back into the second verse again. We're going to play 2 cycles of the verse chord progression till we get back into the third chorus, which is going to be 3 cycles of the chorus chord progression. And then as we end the third chorus, this is where it gets a little bit wonky. So from the final line of the third chorus, I can't imagine what a world would be into the verse chord progression, but we're gonna change up the lyrics for this kind of bridge portion. So nothing. Now I can't imagine. No, I can't imagine. No. So we've played the cycle twice, so now we need to go back into the chorus one. But this time we're only going to play the chorus chord progression one time. So I can't imagine what a world would be. And he slows down a little bit there, so make sure to remember to slow down. Would be. Then we skip the without yous this time. I'd always be alone. Skip the without you. Always be alone. And then we're on to the outro, and the outro is just playing the chorus chord progression one time. And then you just end on a D major. And for that little flourish there on the A7, we're just going to pluck with all 4 of our fingers. Then we're going to move our thumb to the D string, and we're just going to pluck the D, G, B, E, then back down. So it's going to sound like this. And let it hang a little bit, and then go to the D. And now you should know how to play the entire song. So, thank you so much for watching. I really hope that this tutorial was helpful. If it was, please feel free to give this video a like. I'd really appreciate that. Comment down below what your favorite song from the brand new album is. I haven't actually heard it yet, but I'm really looking forward to hearing Teach Me How to Love. So let me know down below. And if you want to check out my Amazon links in the description for my filming gear and my guitar gear, it's really high quality stuff, and if you do end up buying it, it gives a little kickback and helps support the channel. You can find my original music in a playlist in that top right corner. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you later.